Good day out there. Good to see you on this platform once again. How has been the lockdown till now? Wow, I guess it has been so exciting and so productive. My name is James Komolafe, and I'm happy to bring you to another episode of our discourse at this lockdown, courtesy of COVID-19 pandemic. This motivation comes from the School of Articulation and Behavioral Alignment Resources, aka the SABA Resources. And what we shall be discussing today is what I titled Behavioral Manifestation at COVID-19 Lockdown. The need for the creation of emotional ecosystems. What are they? What kind of attitude do I need to create, especially at such a time as this, in order to be productive and to be in charge? At this period of COVID-19, it is so vital that your disposition, your attitude, and your habit is such a one that communicates on a very positive note, so that at the end of the experience, you can come out radiant, robust, and great in your vibrations. So what are emotions? Starting from emotion is the force of life, combing and combining the processes of the mind and of the heart in order to interact, interface, and interrupt a given condition so that you can give the appropriate response. It is the combination of your spiritual and mental energies that creates that approaches on the outside, whether it's the good, the bad, and of course the ugly. So what is emotional ecosystems? What are they? They are the internal framework that you have come to create in order to reorganize the happenings around you. It is your capacity to recondition your mind in order to set new leases of life in your environment. Oh, wow, I like that. Emotional ecosystem is a pattern of doing things that captures the essence of your personal, internal, and external resources on a daily basis. It is that attitude and attribute that is being reinforced by a recurring decimal within you, so that your approaches to life can be a great one. Your emotional ecosystem is a shift in the daily game of life, given your situation and your circumstances. When you come to realize and release your emotional ecosystem, you know what you do? You create an adaptation within in order to adjust to your circumstances on the outside, either by way of ignore or by every other protocols you keep in order to cope with it. Because there are certain realities on ground you cannot run away from, especially at this time of COVID-19. You just must give the appropriate response. And what enables you to give that response is the emotional environment, which we call the ecosystem that you create, because life is full of systems woven to interact and to interface on a daily basis. So if you don't understand, you just discover that you are just on your own doing nothing. And when a man exists doing nothing about his situation, he will soon be overwhelmed and overcome by his situation. So that is why in behavioral therapy, Your internal environment matters just as your external environment also matter. So when we are talking about your emotional ecosystems, we're looking at the interaction that you manage, coupled with the imposed disruption by your environment as a new reality. Nobody expected COVID-19, and nobody have ever experienced it before. But once issues of life hit you like that, you are not to be distorted. You are not to be embarrassed. You have been wired and woven in your person to give a response, to give an answer. So, the capacity to understand the resources you have within in order to measure up without messing up in the face of circumstances is the power of the emotional ecosystem that you create. So in emotional ecosystem, your heart and your mind reels out its critical fundamentals in an attempt to adjust to the reality on ground. So there are three realities we are talking about now. What was your reality before COVID-19 pandemic? That reality was governed by a certain emotional ecosystem, which you have been used to, business as usual. But the principle of emotional ecosystem says there could be a disruption by way of circumstances and situations. So what do you do to be in charge? How do you rewire and rework yourself to create the much needed shock absorbers in order to keep on, whether there's lockdown or no lockdown? These are the issues we consider in emotional realities. These are the issues we consider in emotional ecosystems. To say, see, the situation on ground now is asking for a response from you. And once you are there, you cannot give a response, of course you will react. So many people out there react to issues that is beyond them, according to them, and they don't know what to do. No, you are supposed to know what to do, and don't do nothing until you understand who you are, your situations, and your circumstances, so that you can check in your inside your capacity to not only go around what is happening, but to build shock absorbers so that you can go through. And that is the essence of life. So COVID-19 has some silver linings there because it will help you to be able to adjust to your internal energies for external responses. And that is when you can stand up. And that is when you can do the needful. And that is when your isolation period can be productive. It's not enough to preserve yourself from infection. It's not even enough to protect yourself. You also need to do something productive while in isolation. So a lockdown period is not a period for lock-off. It is never a period for a lockdown. So you need to keep up and step up your game and to see what to do and how to create very different environment from your inside to the outside in order to do what is fitting, in order to keep yourself in shape, and to give answers to every questions around, begging for answers through who you are and what you know. So there are three emotional ecosystems we are considering now. The one you were into before COVID came up as a necessary societal disruption, which you can just not do anything about. as to caging it from the outside. It's a pandemic that happens everywhere in the world. So you may not be able to contain that, but you know what? The world inside you is an ecosystem that has its critical connections and interaction within to without. And so you are in the saddle. You are responsible. So the second emotional ecosystem is the system that you must of necessity overhaul and create based on the issue on ground. So during COVID-19 is saying, I have come. And within the period of my being around, you have to do something. You have to respond. So the conditions you create in order to mitigate and subjugate and subdue the influences, the negative influences of COVID-19 through the precautionary measures, through the social distancing, through the washing of your hands with alcohol-based sanitizer, and every other protocol, all that you do to be able to forestall infection and the contracting of COVID-19 pandemic is that you are creating a new ecosystem for which your heart and your mind is also involved. So whether you like it or not, you have to do something. So it's an ecosystem you create. It has to consume you. It has to become accommodated by you. You have to walk by it on a conscious note. And so the third emotional ecosystem, you should also be considering and working in the consciousness thereof, is the ecosystem after COVID-19. I want you to know that COVID-19 is not a permanent thing. No, never. It has simply come to pass. And in a few days from now, it shall be over. So stay indoor, keep safe, keep yourself, don't spread the virus. As you keep safe, in a short while, it will become a thing of the past. So while we are still in the lockdown, it is very vital you start thinking of after COVID-19 experience. How will you want to come out? What will you want to be at that time? So don't waste this time. Invest critically into yourself. Find out where you need to cross your T's and dot your I. Rejig your emotional ecosystem and see what obtains when another rat race begins at the end of COVID-19. Welcome to the world of emotional ecosystem. Create your own today. Don't just while away the time waiting for COVID-19 to be over. You can raise your game emotionally. You can play it well and play it right, and invest productively into your families, into your relationships, into your responsibility, so that you can come out robust, well packaged to manage without damage. This is the simple story of emotional ecosystem. Thank you so very much. We'll continue the part 2 of this topic on emotional ecosystem. Share this video with your friends and let people know out there that they are responsible to what happens within them. You are responsible, so stand in the place of responsibility. Take your space and occupy your place. You are in charge, not COVID-19. You have a life, you have a world inside out. Raise your game and be fully ensured and assured that all is well and good with you. Thank you so very much. See you next time, and cheers.